life is a fight for territory. And once you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want will automatically take over. Give you an example. 27 years ago, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
27 years ago, my gosh.
Yeah, fourth stage cancer. And fourth stage prostate cancer, my PSA was 2,400. And so Dr. Alfred Golson said, Mr. Brown, you have fourth stage cancer. I said, I do? He said, yes. And it's metastasized to 7 areas of your body, and it's eaten 43% of your T1 vertebrae. I said, whoa. He said, why are you smiling? Did you hear what I just said? I said, yeah. He said, why are you smiling? I said, man, 7 is my lucky number. I was born February the 17th. Joshua marched around the walls of Jericho 7 times. Naaman dipped himself in the river Jordan 7 times. 7 is my lucky number. He looked at his nurse and said, this is a strange one. So I said, can you give me a second opinion? He said, yes. And you're ugly too. You just called me ugly, didn't you? You didn't go there. He said, you're ugly. He said, but you got this. You got this. I don't tell patients that they're terminally ill. What I say is my knowledge and my ability and my skills have terminated. Now you and God figure this out. He determines the prognosis. You got this. And as a result, how people live their lives, as you know, is a result of the story they believe about themselves. He interrupted my story, and I left there with a heart full of faith, not a heart full of fear. Zig said, most people in a fearful situation, they forget everything and run. But there are a small number, the road to life is straight and narrow, a few there be that find it, who face everything and rise.
Oh my gosh.
So the people who listen to you when you speak, and when I say that you are the most talented speaker on the planet, is because when you speak, what you do is distract, dispute, and inspire. You distract people from their story. Yeah, as you know, the psychologists call that self-explanatory style. And through the execution of your presentation or the guests that you interview, that you dismantle their current belief system and inspire them to become, as Mother Teresa would say, a pencil in the hand of God and start writing a new chapter in their lives. That's what you do with the products that you have, the guests that you have, and how you have decided that you are going to live a life that will outlive you. And God bless you for it.
Live a life that will outlive you. Oh my gosh. Everybody, I'm just sharing this treasure with you. So you got to follow this man. You've got to get his book. Guys, listen, I have a lot of people on my show that I admire. This man changed my life. I mean, there's a part of me, this is a very strange interview for me, Mr. Brown, because I'm in and out of it in my mind. I'm talking to Les Brown right now.
I'm fascinated to be talking with you. You don't know how often I've met you that said, this is my brother from another mother.
Thank you. Thank you. I bet you're making my day. Speaking of, what's that?
How old are you?
50 this year.
Oh, I got t-shirts older than you. I'm 75.
Oh my gosh. I got to tell you, by the way, speaking of brothers, this is an interesting thing about you. You're a twin.
Yes.
And when you were young, this is so hard for people to believe. They see this man who can recite poetry and scripture and quotes like this, to think that at some point you were labeled as, were you labeled as mentally retarded as a child?
When I was in the 5th grade, I was labeled educable mentally retarded and put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade at Douglas Elementary School in Mamie, Florida. And then when I was in the 8th grade, I failed again. But I had a man who was very much like you, because I consider you a master communicator, Mr. Leroy Washington. And I walked in his class looking for a friend. It was really a God moment. And he said, young man, go to the board and work this problem out for me. I said, sir, I can't do that. He said, why not? I said, I'm not one of your students. He said, do it anyhow. I said, I can't, sir. And the other students started laughing, saying, he's Leslie. He's got a twin brother, Wesley. Wesley's smart. He's DT. And he asked, what's DT? And they said, he's the dumb twin. And they erupted in laughter. And I said, I am, sir. And he came from around his desk. He looked at me. He said, don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. Do you hear me? I said, yes, sir. He interrupted the story that I believed about myself. My mother said, sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you. But words do hurt deeply. But on that day, you know, Denzel was in a movie called Touch, and he said, there are moments in life, there's before this and there's after this. And after this, nothing will ever be the same again. And my life was interrupted because he interrupted this vision that had been planted in my mind by words. Words affect behavior. And that's why I'm excited about training people how to create an experience to transform people individually and collectively. Because when we look at where we are, that's more important than ever before. The cultures and hatred and divisiveness, all of these things are fomented with words. Our lady came for me to train her from Australia. And I said, why did you come to me? She said, when I look at all the divisiveness and hatred and violence, she said, it's done by a few people, but there's too many people are silent. And I have a voice, and I want to be a voice for love. I said, whoa. She just gave me goose pimples, man.
Yeah. Wow. I love it. This teacher, speaking about that on voice, because the third thing was communication. I literally shared this with my son when he went away to college. This teacher stopped you when you're in that classroom, correct me if I'm wrong, and said, listen, there's 3 things that you need to have if you're going to prevail in this life. Yeah. And everybody, this is where you right now, if you've got children around you, you go grab them right now, because I've shared this with both of my children. This is compelling stuff right here, because this was one of those moments where your life was not the same again after he delivers this message to you.
Yes, yeah. He said, you have to work on your mind. He was a person who believed in Earl Nightingale, who said, you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. Dr. Carter G. Woodson, if you can determine what a man shall think, you never have to concern yourself with what he will do. If you can make a man feel inferior, you never have to compel him to seek an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. And if you can make a man feel justly an outcast, you never have to order him to go to the back door. He'll go without being told. And if there's no door, his very nature will demand one. He said, develop your mind. Next thing he said, practice the principle of OQP, only quality people. Today, in order for us to make it, even before the coronavirus, the suicide rate in America had increased by 32%. Today, in order for us to make it, we have to create what we're doing now, collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships. One of the major issues we're facing right now is loneliness. And one of the major determinants of a long life, I thought it would be plant-based diet or becoming a vegetarian or a vegan or exercise. It's positive social relationships. That's the main factor. And the third thing that he said, Mr. Brown, develop your communication skills, young man, because once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. Your ability to communicate humanizes you. You explain it so well when you talk to people about the number one skill that they need. If they're negotiating, if they want to advance their careers, if they want to create a movement, they want to promote their business or promote themselves. That skill, had I not had that skill when I was fired from working for the Mamie sanitation department, if I didn't have the ability to communicate, I would not have been able to be a salesman at Sears or do door-to-door sales. I would not have been able to become a disc jockey. I would not have been able to become a state legislator in Columbus, Ohio, and pass 14 bills my first term. And I was elected the third term, 3 terms, and then my sister called me and said, Leslie, are you sitting down? What's wrong with Mama? Mama has breast cancer. I said, I'll be right there. She said, Leslie, you don't have to come. We found a good nursing home for her. I said, listen to me. No. She adopted 7. 7 will be there when she takes her last breath. And I left that day. And I'll never forget when I rung the doorbell, a friend of hers named Miss Mildred, she came to the door. She said, oh my God, Mamie, Leslie's here. And I heard my mother's voice said, I knew my boy would come. I knew my boy would come. And I came in and her things were packed. I said, unpack everything. I said, Mom, I'm here. I'm here. And so it's...
Wow. This thing with your mom, do you know who Art Williams is? Do you remember Art Williams? He used to be a speaker.
All you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough. But
there you go.
You do all you can do. I study everybody.
I know you do. Listen to you.
You, Zig Ziglar. If you give enough people what they want, they'll give you what you want. Jim Rohn, when the end comes for you, let it find you conquering a new mountain, not sliding down an old one. I study them all.
Because the reason I ask you this is when I introduced you as the greatest speaker that I've ever seen, and by the way, I think that shortchanges, I believe, greatest teacher, communicator that I've ever seen in my life. And the other one that made the impact on me was Art Williams, who I know you would both agree with. There was an amazing communicator, still is. Yeah. And so I met him one time, and he gave me a nice compliment about a talk I had given. And so I said, well, there's 2 I've ever seen in my life. And I said, it's you, Mr. Williams. And I said, and then Les Brown's in a class all his own. And I said, he's so talented and gifted. And he stopped me. And this leads to your mother. Again, a situation that I know about, I'd like you to share. And he goes, he's not that talented and gifted. He's a worker. He works. Les works at it. This is a skill he's developed. He wasn't born with this. He's worked at it. If you knew the people I know, this guy is on the road. He works. And then I was listening to you, and this amazing, your mother's this theme in your life, but when you were a young boy, your mother lost the ability to work. And so I think the story is she starts sort of like making a little moonshine to sort of support the family, right? And something happens, yes. And I think you're like 10 years old, something like yes. this, right? And then you got to take over. Would you just share this? Because I think everything happens for us, not to us. Our test will be our testimony. And the messes of our lives don't disqualify us. I think so many people think this mess I'm in, this divorce, this business failure, this choice I made I'm not proud of, that I'm ashamed of, it disqualifies me. My background, my upbringing, I'm disqualified. Turns out you can turn those things into be your testimony. And this situation with your mom, I think, triggered this work ethic in you at a young age that Art told me about.
Yes, Mama, she started selling homebrew and moonshine, and it was difficult for us at that time, for her raising 7 children. She was injured on a job. And so she promised our birth mother that these children will never go to bed hungry. We will always have a roof over our head and clothes on our back. And a man came. I'll never forget what you're talking about. So you've done your research as much as I've been doing research on you. You and I are so much alike. And this guy, his name was Calhoun, and he knocked on the door. He said, Leslie, how are you doing? I said, fine. Mama always said, don't ever open the door without telling me. And I said, oh, hey, Mama, no, don't tell her. I've got 2 friends with me. We're going to surprise her. Open the door. And I opened the door and let them come in. And one of the guys grabbed me. I was 10 years old in the throat and hit me on the side of the head and threw me up against the wall. And he said, she's back there in the room. And they went back there, and Mama was selling homebrew and moonshine. And he said, pull up the linoleum. And they pull up the linoleum, and she kept it under the floor of the house that we were in. And they brought Mama out in handcuffs. Then I said, Mama, I'm so sorry. And she said, it's okay, Leslie. It's okay. And she never, ever mentioned it when she came back. And so we don't have any relatives. We adopted. So the neighbors, they will come in and bring us food from time to time. And I would collect copper and aluminum, and sometimes stand in a corner. Hey, boy, come over, and get on a truck with older men to move heavy equipment. But years later, fast forward, man, I had it in my heart. If I ever saw this guy again, I'll kill him. And boy, you know, God, boy, he has a sense of humor. Here I am talking to my young son, John Leslie, who's a speaker and trainer. I said, John Leslie, anger is a wind that blows out the lamp of the mind. He said, what do you mean by that, Daddy? I said, don't allow anger to govern you. Never make a decision while you are angry. It blows out the wind of the mind. You'll make decisions and do things that you will regret later. At this time, a guy comes over and tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, hello, sir. I just want you to know, we here in Miami are so proud of you. I had a talk show at King World that paid me $5 million to do the Les Brown talk show. Now look, I'll never forget his face. I said to myself, oh my God, it's Calhoun. Now here's my son here, and I'm looking at this guy's face who put my mother in jail. And man, I get short in the breath, and John Leslie said, Daddy, you all right? I said, no. And this guy, he just kept on shaking my hand. Man, yes. Leslie, man, you really making us all proud. And I said, excuse me, sir, excuse me. And I went outside, and my son said, what's going on? Is this something you ate? I said, no, John Leslie. I gotta go. I said, let's get in the car, I gotta go. He said, what's happening, Dad? And I drove away for a little while, and I parked on the side to collect myself. I said, that man, he's the one that put your grandmother in jail. And I promised if I ever saw him again, I would kill him. He said, oh God. I said, John Leslie, you know what? It's a God moment. He said, why? I said, I got that hatred out of my heart for him because you were here. I have to model what I'm teaching you. People say, practice what you preach, but now God put it in me. I got to preach what I practice. I got to forgive. And forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is remembering without anger. I forgive him, but most of all, I forgive myself. Please forgive me, God, for carrying this anger and hatred all these years. Yeah, it was deep. I've never told this story before.
Oh my gosh.
Man, this thing, you know, Forrest Gump had a point. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. That's all I got to say about that.
I can't believe you just shared that with us. Oh my gosh.
So life is full of distractions. And so I want you to think about what are your goals and what is it that you see for yourself in and out of the pandemic. You just saw a video. Here I am, 77, just a few months ago, about 3 months ago, I connected with my birth family. And to see a picture for the first time of my birth mother and father. This thing called life, it's just so unpredictable. And so that in the middle of all the stuff that we have to do and the things that you have to do in terms of your personal stuff, in terms of your business and the people that's a part of your team, and all of the unexpected distractions that we just don't see coming. This is a very challenging time. And what we have to do and know is, first of all, we have to have a program for ourselves to handle what's going on. And I want you to write this down. When things go wrong, don't go with them, because they're going to go wrong. what's going to happen? And so having a strategy, a game plan, a ritual to train your mind to observe things and not buy into the things that you see, that's major now more than ever. This is no time to lose it. And so when we look at all the conflict and all the things, the confusions and the violence and the spike in suicide and politicians lying out of their necks every day and say, don't believe your lying eyes. You say, come on. This is a different kind of place. And so this is a time that you have to begin to focus on you. This lady, she was working in hospice and she was interviewing patients who just had a few weeks to live, about 2 months to 3 months. And she asked them, what do you regret about your life? And the majority of them said that I wasn't true to myself. That I wish that I had done the things that had been true to me. It's been said that most people die unlived lives. They die a life that's not them. And so I started examining, where am I now and what am I to do with what I'm going through, just with one of my children who's bipolar schizophrenic. How do I handle that? I call FAF and say, hey, I need some help. Do you know anybody that can help me? Because here I am, can motivate people around the world, and my son, look like I made him by myself, can't hear my voice. So that's very challenging, and it's very humbling. So part of what I want to share with you, develop a ritual for you. I'm the fix-it person, but I had to begin to anchor myself in the words, Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I can't change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And if that wasn't enough, I'm at Cancer Centers of America last week, and they said, Mr. Brown, we know we gave you the Perseverance Award for 29-year prostate cancer conqueror. But we see something here, because I just said, let me just check myself out and see how things are going. And they said, your white blood cells are low. We've not seen this. And I remember reading a book called Who's the Matter with Me? And what I realized, that the shift that has taken place in my health that I'm now proactively dealing with, it is a result of stress, that I was allowing the stress, dealing with my son, dealing with the business and all my children and all of the things that I just have to deal with. No, excuse me, not have to deal with, that I get to deal with. I want you to write this down. Operation Clean Slate. Come on, somebody. Well, I'm coming for you right now. I started saying, wait a minute. A lot of stuff that I had on my plate, it wasn't my stuff. And so I decided Operation Clean Slate. I started getting stuff off my plate, my children, my brothers and my sisters and friends. My mother had a sign, my adopted mother had a sign on her mirror, and it read, oh Lord, help me keep my nose out of other people's business. Now I understand. I want you to write this down. We live our lives forward, but we understand it looking backwards. Now I understand what Mama meant, because I was putting my nose in a lot of business that was not my business. Operation Clean Slate. So you have to sometimes stop, look, and make an assessment and ask the question, what am I to do with this? Where am I going? What's going on with me? Who am I really? Who have I been being? And I have been being Superman or Mighty Mouse. Here I come to save the day. It's Mighty Mouse. He's on his way. I resign. I can't even call Superman to help me out. You know why? Because they eliminated the telephone booths. He can't even change clothes. I told him not to remove those telephone booths. He's not going to risk being arrested for indecent exposure, taking off his clothes in a telephone booth. Now, that's not an option. So, so here we are. And we have to deal with this stuff. And so, number one, you got to be true to yourself. You got to have a ritual to take care of yourself. And you know this. And it's very important. And sometimes we need to be reminded of what we know. I'm getting still, and I'm reading the Bible, the Torah, the Kabbalah, the Holy Quran. I'm reading everything. When they said, Mr. Brown, your PSA, which stands for prostate specific antigen 2,400. Wow. And I say, whoa. But guess what? I got it down. To below 0, then it went up to 4. And so I'm working on it again. But what I know is I'm minimizing the stress in my life that I brought into my life. I take responsibility for where I am and this situation. That's an opportunity to prove my discipline and my commitment of making choices that I would be here, and at 77, making the rest of my life the best of my life. And I know that many of you have decided in this mastermind, that's where you are. And because we can't do it by ourselves. And so building mental resolve. I get up early in the morning, listening to things to fortify me, to begin to strengthen myself mentally and emotionally and spiritually. Here's something else. As you begin to dig in and start thinking your life, rethinking it and looking at yourself, why is that important? Because this is a new space that requires a new skill set. Einstein said, the thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. And so Les Brown had to say to himself, hey, look here. If you do the same thing that got you here, that won't serve you in this new space where we are. So self-awareness is very important. Am I being me? Am I being true to myself? Am I doing the things that I need to do to keep myself on the path, to do the things that as I go forward, where I am an asset to my family and not a liability? Here's something else. Whatever your goal and dream is, I can share with you based upon my experience, it's possible and it's necessary. You got to decide, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this happen. But not just that, but also who you have to be in order to do that. Because at the end of the day, and you know this, being with Fab, that people don't live life as it is. You live life as you are. If you're not playing with a full deck, if you are not getting a full night's sleep, if you don't have the clarity of mind to make good decisions that will serve you and your team and your family, that's going to be challenging. You become a liability. As Jim Rohn said, is your life a warning or is it an example? A warning of not to do or an example of what to do? So taking care of yourself. And I want you to write this down. Live your life, and this is where I am. And I really want you to put this someplace that you can see it. Live your life the way that you want to lead your life. I was talking to a room of entrepreneurs, and I asked them, if you knew you had just a few weeks to live, what would you do differently? And I was surprised that the majority said, I would quit my business, and they start thinking about things that they were going to do. And here's what was fascinating. There's a young lady in there named Pauline Ahi. Pauline was born with no arms and no legs. And so as I was passing her table in this training I was doing, someone said, did you hear what Les said? Write down the things that you would do differently if you knew you just had a few weeks to live. She said, yes, I heard him. And what most of them did at the table, they talked about quitting their business and start traveling and just doing a variety of things. And what she said, I would continue to be me. And when they heard her say that, these people who had written out all the things that they had taken on and all the things that they said that they would step away from, they begin to rethink themselves. And I asked also the second follow-up question, what are the biggest challenges that you're facing right now? Pauline did not have one thing on her paper. No arms, no legs, married with children. And they asked, you gotta have some problem. You don't have no arms. You don't have no legs. That's gotta be very challenging. He said, I don't have no challenge. I find a way to live life on my terms. Whoa. That's major. She said, I've set my life up, my environment, the people in my life, the things that I'm doing. There's nothing that I'm doing that's outside of what I want to do. I'm doing the stuff that's me. I'm being true to me. That's some lesson in that. See, if I knew I had a few weeks to live, I'd do more Zooms and give more motivational speeches. I told my kids, if they tell you I'm dead, don't let them embalm me for 3 days. Sneak in there and put a microphone in my head and my hand in the morgue. And if I don't grab it and say, you got to be hungry, you call your brothers and sisters and say, Dad's gone. Yeah, but, and if my casket give me a microphone or some Colonel Sanders chicken, I'll be fine. This thing called life. So just determining who are you now and who is it you need to be for this vision that you see of yourself, because life is very challenging. It's sometimes up, sometimes down. Sometimes things go well and sometimes they don't go so well. It's a roller coaster. And so be true to you and decide the things that you envision for yourself, the reason that you're there, the goals that you've set, the relationships that you're building. Make sure that it represents who you are and the things that you envision. You got to have a mindset that I'm going to do this, just like we got started out. Some stuff happened. It's called life. Think it not strange that you'll face the fiery furnaces of this world. You will, not you might. You will have tribulations. Here's something else. Determine what is it that you really want. That's major. What do I really want? And when I started practicing, and I got this from a friend of mine, business partner, Celeste Johnson, Operation Clean Slate, I took a lot of things off my plate, and I'm focusing on doing those things that's in my heart. Where your heart is, there your treasure is also. Spending more time with my children and my grandchildren and my 4 great-grandsons. And so when you look at the things that you want, creating special moments, it's been said is not the number of breaths that you take, but the number of breaths that takes, the number of moments that you create that takes your breath away. And that's what I'm looking at and focusing on. I remember when I read this article about Howard Hughes, who at that time was the wealthiest man in the world, and they were trying to rush him someplace on an airplane, and he died. And someone asked the question, how much did he leave? And somebody answered, all of it. And so when we look at ourselves, we got to ask, what's really important? Making a decision And this time that you're there to rethink your life, what's necessary for you that you want to do before you check out? I remember being at Caesar's Palace, and Frank Sinatra was at a table seated next to me. And at that time I was married to Gladys Knight. I was the conductor of the midnight train. Come on now. I was one of the pips. I was the conductor. Come on. And I heard him say to a young man, live each day as if it were your last, because one day it will be. And so, and I want you to write this down. And this is a biggie for me right now. A friend of mine, Samantha, and I said, how you doing? And she sounded so bubbly and so happy. I say, what's going on with you? Why are you so bubbly and happy? And I haven't seen you in a minute. She said, well, the reason I am, and I'm like this every day. And I said, why? She said, this is a non-refundable day. Whoa. I don't have the time to be depressed and stressed out. It's non-refundable. I'm going to make the best of it. I hear you talking about making the rest of your life the best of your life. She said, that's real, because each moment, each day is non-refundable. I reminded myself that every hour, the time that I invest, the conversations that I have. I won't take a phone call unless it's positive, unless it's purposeful, unless it's productive, unless it's going in the direction of where I'm going. I'm not just going to give my time away. I'm 77. No, homie ain't playing that. I'm going to leave my life the way I wanted to do something more meaningful and make a greater impact. I still have some more in me. Simba, you're more than that which you have become. I still believe, and I'm sure some of you believe, that you still have some more in you, that the best is yet to come. Here's something else. Your why, what has driven me and caused me to become the person that I am, was I wanted to take care of my adopted mother. You know, my birth mother, she gave me life, but my adopted mother, she taught me how to live life. I feel like Abraham Lincoln has said, all that I am and all that I ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. And Mama, she was always engaged in life. She was always looking for ways that she could do something differently. It was not unusual for us to come home and Mama, as small as our house was, that she had reconfigured the furniture in the house. And I remember one time coming home and there was a big window in the living room leaning up against the wall. And I said, Mama, why do you have this window here? Well, they tore this house down and you say you're gonna get me a home. Well, I got this window, so if you're gonna build me a home, I got a window that can fit. I said, no, man, I'm not gonna buy a home that don't have windows in every room. Come on. And she most certainly accelerated me to getting the home that I promised her that I would get for her. But she had the vision saying, I'm going to participate in this and what you're going to do. I'm going to do my part. And so what reason you're here, you've decided, hey, I got something else I want to do. You've got some bigger goals that you want to achieve. And write this down. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. I got 3 brothers, 2 that I didn't know. And they look at me and they say, whoa, how is it possible? You're just like our birth mother and you didn't know her. And our grandmother, and you didn't know either one, didn't see them. How is it possible you're just like them? And the reason is, one, they didn't have any goals beyond their comfort zone and still don't. And they're fine with that. And that's okay. And the other thing is that people say, well, it's in your genes. No. I remember spending a whole day with Maya Angelou, and Maya Angelou said, it aggravates me when people say, I'm a natural communicator. She said, show me a natural heart surgeon. She said, no, I'm trained. And so if they put in the effort and the time like you're doing to get training and upgrade my knowledge, my relationships, expand my vision and dreams, I would be living just a non-consequential life. I didn't want that. The reason you're there, that you want to make a greater impact with your business, with the people that you're working with, to bring out the best in them, but also be the model, not just the messenger, but the message that you want to bring out the best in yourself, to challenge yourself. Iron sharpening iron. That's why you're there, creating collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships. That's why you're there. You know there's something in you that says, this is not just it for me. There is more for me. People can be distracted by what's going on in Ukraine, by what's going on with the virus. But as for me, I know that this is my life right now. There is no duplicate, and I want to maximize it. Give yourselves a round of applause for reaching for your greatness. Do that right now.
Let me share something with you. Life is for living. Most people are not living, they're existing. And the reason that this is not for everybody, this is for people who say, I don't want to exist. The reason that millions of people are calling in a market where we see signs everywhere, help wanted, and one Burger King place said, they had a sign on the Burger King outside said, we quit. Where they're supposed to be selling hamburgers, all right? They say, we quit, we resign, all of us. People quitting in the middle of the day. Reason is, they want to leave a job that's not them. I got it. Oh, help me out. Okay, help me out.
You're having a power surge.
Yes, I'm having a power. This is what happens when you get deceptive. All right.
All right.
Yes. Okay.
So,
but let me
tell you something. All right. Focus is about taking charge of your mind.
Yes.
Faith is about taking charge of your heart.
Come on now. Come on now. The mind believes, but the heart knows. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Come to New York. The truth is, when you come, your life will be changed.
Come on.
When you come, you want to bring other positive, motivated people with you that's going in the direction of where you're going. When you come, we will allow you to come into an environment where you will have social distancing from the negative, toxic people who don't have goals, who don't have dreams, who are volunteer victims. When you come, you have to begin to serve notice to all the toxic, negative behavior in your life so you can make room for the greatness that you have within you to live the life that you were chosen to live. When you come, be ready to say goodbye to yourself. Kiss that person you've been up to this point. Goodbye, because you will understand what Paul meant when he said, I must die daily, because now, goodbye, because that'll give birth to the greatness that you have within. Goodbye when you come to the Rock Church. Oh, yes, somebody can hear me right now. Well, when you come on August the 14th, I want you to direct messengers right now. Tell them how they get their tickets right now. It's selling out fast. It's selling out fast.
And we'll send you a link so that you can be a part of this event. And let me tell you what else is important. First, you have focus.
Yes.
Then you have faith.
Yes.
And then you have follow through.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I believe that if you could turn on the radio and learn how to be a thug, you should be able to turn on the radio and learn how to be a thinker. And that's why I need you to do this rap with me, because I'm ready to follow through. Now I need you to do the hook.
Okay, and let me tell you the reason I've been kind of slow is because rap created what I believe is HIV, another virus, food-infected virus, AIDS, addiction to incarceration, and death syndrome. All right, every week when I'm being killed, about we got a beef. We can't even afford a pork chop. Hello, somebody. Wow. Cookie, y'all know it's true. Because, come on, it's changed a culture.
This is true.
You see people walking around, won't pull their pants up. Won't pull their pants up. Who does that? Won't pull. What does it take to pull you? Who stands in the mirror and pull the pants out so people can see your underwear? What's up with that? Or maybe I'm old-fashioned. Well, let me be old-fashioned, but you ain't gonna see my underwear. No. That shows no gumption. You know what that reminds me of? Frederick Douglass said, why help a man stand to his feet if he doesn't have enough gumption to lock his knees and pull his pants up? When you let him go, his head is going to hit the pavement because there's nothing in there anyhow. Oh, that was a good move.
Oh, come on. Woo! Follow your heart. Say that with me. Go next song. Say, follow your heart. Okay, let's practice again. Follow your heart.
Follow your heart.
Okay, and then another. Follow your heart.
Follow your heart.
All right, good. So these are the words, and then as you get it, say it with me. Follow your heart.
Follow your heart.
All right, you say it with me this time.
Okay.
All right, you got rhythm, right?
Yeah.
Be triple P. 1, 2, 3. Follow your heart, even if no one's behind you. Follow your heart. Just let the Spirit guide you. Follow your heart. I hope these words can remind you to follow your heart. If you ever want to find you, follow your heart. Now, I've never been a follower till I decided not to be a pride swallower. Because I take pride in being my best. And know sometimes I think it's right, keep leading me left. So follow your heart. If your mistakes will be the same as mine, we can't always find the answers in our brain. The sign is when you have those feelings that you can't explain. You know what it means, but let me tell you why it came.
Follow your heart.
Even if no one's behind you.
Follow your heart.
Just let the Spirit guide you.
Follow your heart.
I hope these words can remind you to
follow your heart.
If you ever want to find you, yes. First, you have to focus. Focus on your dream. Focus on where you're going, not where you are. Focus on the type of relationships that are going to help you to grow and expand and don't get stuck in a rut. Focus is important, but focus happens and is truly ignited when you have faith.
And follow your heart. And let the record show. There will be disappointments. You're going to have setbacks. You will fail your way to success. People will reject you. People will disappoint you. People will talk about you. But when you follow your heart, there's a difference when you work on a job. And when you work on a job, that's what you get paid for. But when you follow the calling on your heart, that's what you're made for.
Yes.
Follow your heart.
Some of you right now are going to letsbrowngreatness.com. Some of you right now are moving around your schedule because your heart says that you need to be with the Brown family. Your heart says, hey, I've been listening to Les Brown on YouTube. I've been trying to find out how I can meet him. Now I get a chance.